Happy Mindful Monday, everybody. I am back with another conscious communication card to share with you. I hope you've had a great weekend and are ready for the week ahead. For those of you who are new to the group, my name is Stacy. I am a parenting coach and educator, and I help families just like yours who are wanting to parent in a more mindful, more conscious way, but are having trouble figuring out how to make that work day to day. Trust me, if you are struggling with this, you are not alone. So last week I introduced you to the conscious communication deck. We talked about the three areas of sort of support, the three areas where kids often have challenges. If you missed that video, go back and check that out. It will be in the guides section under the conscious communication cards area. If you need me to tag you in that, just let me know. I'm happy to do that. Go back to that video if you haven't seen it already, because it will give you the introduction for those three different areas of support that kids often struggle with. This week's card is one that many of us struggle with. I know I have in the past. It's all about getting kids to do their chores. Now, this is typically a challenge in the area of skills. And I know this is certainly the case when my kids were struggling with this. And it often looks like defiance, but there's more underneath that's going on. Okay, so when kids are struggling in the area of skills, what they really need is someone to acknowledge their feelings and really help them build those skills. Sometimes it's developmental, sometimes part of it is patience on our part, and then sometimes it's helping them gain those skills that they really need. And so when kids are struggling to follow our lead when it comes to doing chores, when they're struggling to follow those requests, here's what we want to avoid. Number one, we want to avoid making demands of them. Kids do not respond well, especially if you've got some sort of strong-willed child like my son. They do not do well if you make demands of them. So saying things like, you're not going anywhere until your chores are finished, is just setting you up for a power struggle. And parents very rarely win power struggles. Power struggles are not a nice way to, or they're not a good place to be. And it certainly doesn't help contribute in a positive way to your relationship. So if you can avoid that, definitely avoid a power struggle. You also want to avoid guilt, things like, just once, I wish you'd do what I ask. Go back to a time when someone made you feel guilty for something that you hadn't done. And then you did that later out of guilt. Did that help your relationship? Did that help you want to do more in the future? Probably not. And the same is true with our kids. When we use guilt as a tactic to get them to do what we want them to do, it doesn't further our relationship in any way, and it doesn't help them build any skills. You also want to avoid making it into a challenge. So things like, is that too much to ask? And I can sort of hear my mother when I say that. Not that she ever verbally said that out loud, but I know that was the feeling behind her words sometimes. Again, it doesn't help the child develop what it is they need. Instead, when your child is having trouble in this area, when they're refusing, when it feels like they're being defiant, number one, stop and take a breath and ground yourself. And then notice without judgment, just what you see. I noticed you didn't finish your chores. So there's no judgment involved with that. You're just noticing. Then you want to go on to acknowledge their feelings. Be curious. Curiosity is your friend. Curiosity helps you move into compassion. Okay. So you might say something like this, like, this has been a challenge lately. And if you're willing to share, I would like to know what's going on. Now you can use your own words. Sometimes when you're using cards or scripts or things like that, it doesn't feel authentic. So use your own words. So often with my kids, I'll say, look, I'm noticing you're having trouble getting your chores done. What's up with that? How can I help you? What's the struggle? What's the hardest part for you? And then we have a conversation about it. You can also share your feelings and needs. I don't like fighting about this, but it's important to me that the house is kept neat and organized. Okay, so you're letting them know your side of it without blaming them for something. Okay, you're just naming what your needs are. And this is a really good model for them to be able to do that in their own lives too, because they have legitimate feelings and needs. And being able to name those for other people is super helpful. It's a super helpful full skill for them to have. So then you can make a request with a cooperative solution, and that will give quality feedback. So, for example, I prefer that we all pitch in to help. Do you have some ideas for how we can work this out? This goes back to problem solving. Sometimes kids need you to do a chore alongside them. They might need you to chunk it down for them. They might prefer to do it at a different time of day. There's all kinds of solutions that you can come up with together. And when we give our kids a chance to sort of contribute those solutions, they really develop ownership over the task, and it makes it so much easier to gain their cooperation. I hope you have found this super helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts below. Let me know if this is a struggle in your family. Um, and I will see you next week for our next Mindful Monday. Take care, everybody. Bye.